They've seen the potential of Stevenage. I think at the moment they've only got these sort of outlets in cities, but they've seen the potential of Stevenage, and that's going to be a really good offer once they're open. We're one of the largest life sciences clusters in the world, and the third outside of 2 places in America. And so we're trying to develop the offer for the skills in our young people to try and raise their aspirations to work in STEM. As a cooperative council, we engage with people very early on. So it's engagement and consultation.
Hello, I'm Toby Fox from 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Bugler Developments. Every month, I'm visiting a different council to find out what works and what needs to change to get more homes built. And I'm going to visit Stevenage Borough Council in their own offices to meet the leader, Cllr Richard Henry, to talk about development in Stevenage and his vision for the future here.
Okay, so I'm Richard Henry, I'm the leader of Stevenage Borough Council, and we've asked you to come here because we think we're doing some fantastic developments and housing developments and working with our businesses to regenerate the town and keep it more sustainable.
And what's happening in this particular development, the town centre?
Well, we're stood in the moment in, meanwhile, this used to be the bus station before we built a brand new bus station during COVID, actually. I think it's about 6.5 million. We call it a bus interchange now. And over here, you've got what we're calling Claxton House, because Claxton was one of the architects of the cycle network within Stevenage, which is unique. Yep. And as Britain's first new town, it was built with 46 kilometres of segregated cycle network and pathways. And now we think it's up to about 55 kilometres with additions and stuff, and it's the envy of a lot of my colleagues around the country.
As a dedicated cyclist, it's mouth-watering.
Yeah,
amazing. Do you use it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm a very keen cyclist. Up until COVID, I did cycle, but not much. But during COVID, I cycle, and it's what keeps me fit and sane.
So tell us about the role that this place is playing in your vision for Stevenage and the future of the town.
Well, what we're doing here, we've got meanwhile use in some of these buildings while we're regenerating some of the buildings here. So CoSpace was one joint project with us because we own most of those buildings there. And so we developed that programme with CoSpace as a drop-in for people, where people come for a day's meeting or half a day. But UBS, the bank, the international bank UBS, now have their graduate scheme in there. So because of that, we've extended it. So it goes the whole way along there. So that's all CoSpace. And we've got a brand new cafe coming at the moment, Frequency Coffee. They've seen the potential of Stevenage. I think at the moment they've only got these sort of outlets in cities, but they've seen the potential of Stevenage, and that's going to be a really good offer once they're open.
So this is about creating aspirations, a sense of aspiration around what the town centre could become.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I came on the council over 30 years ago, we were talking about redeveloping the town centre because it had become not fit for purpose, because it was built in the sort of 70s and 80s. Retail was on the change before COVID. We thought it'd be a 10-year before it went really online. Went online overnight. So we're trying to accelerate our offer to the people of Stevenage by redeveloping it, keeping retail, but also looking at new offers in the town centre.
You mentioned when Stevenage was built. Stevenage is one of the first of the post-war new towns. It is the first of the post-war new towns.
And the best, I would argue.
Why does it need rebuilding?
I think because a lot of the new towns are going through similar phases, that it was all built at the same time. So all the infrastructure needs renewing and building at the same time. And with the change in working patterns, the change in retail, the change in culture and leisure offer, some of the buildings are not really fit for purpose. And, you know, we know that since COVID, there's a lot of working at home, a lot of hybrid working. So traditional office buildings don't actually work for the modern organisation.
So would you say there's a lesson to learn for the new Towns programme? Is it possible to build more flexibly so that you can take into account what happens in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. A case in point is the leisure centre, which again was built in the sort of 70s and 80s, very At the time, it was fantastic, but it's not really fit for purpose. So the new leisure centre, which will be over there, £45 million, which we've gone through planning. We've got a spade in the ground, hopefully in the spring, and delivering it in 2027. So that will be a more modular operation to take account of new offers. Like, I don't know if you heard of pickleball, but apparently that's huge. It's difficult to do in there because the configuration of the building isn't quite right. And paddle ball as well, which is growing. So the new leisure centre will be a much better offer, and we can adapt and change to the needs of people as we go forward.
So tell us a bit more about your vision for Stevenage as a place and how that relates to its history.
Okay, so
you're only the third
I'm
leader.
the only third leader, yeah. So Brian Hall, who was the first leader of when it became a borough council in 1974, so his vision, and the executive at the time, was to make sure that we develop the town, because it was still developing then, but also make sure that we increase the business offer. So keep SMEs, get big businesses here, and that's why we've got people like Glaxo, MBDA, Airbus, and the headquarters of the Wine Society. And we continue to work with those big businesses. And you may know that we're one of the largest life sciences clusters in the world, and the third outside of 2 places in America. And so we're trying to develop the offer for the skills in our young people to try and raise their aspirations to work in STEM. Many young people, I don't want to do maths, I want to do science. So we're working with the college, particularly. We're working with the schools. We've got a skills framework, which we, as part of our corporate plan, and part of the master plan in the future, is to have a science campus, if we can get one, over when we redevelop the station gateway and the leisure park. So there'll be a whole, throughput to meet the needs of businesses, because that's what they tell us we want. They also tell me when I became leader just over 2.5 years ago, they want aspirational housing. They want a new hotel because they've got people flying in for 2 months, 3 months, or business meetings. So we're trying to meet the needs of the local businesses, but more importantly, have housing built for our people in Stevenage.
So as I understand it, you've got planning consents for about 3,000 new homes in Stevenage.
That's correct.
That's an awful lot of change. How have you got people to come on that journey of change with you?
Well, as a cooperative council, we engage with people very early on. So it's engagement and consultation. I think in one of the schemes we had over 7,000 engagements, which is enormous. And obviously what we're trying to do is make sure that people understand that, as well as building houses and flats, for local people, we need to build some houses to accommodate visitors for the big businesses. So we do a lot of engagements in local community centres and social media and that as well. So,
and do you want to tell us a bit about this scheme?
That's a former Matalan site.
Matalan the shop, the retail.
Matalan the shop, yeah.
It's changed a bit.
It's changed quite a lot, actually, yeah. So that's built by the Guinness Trust, who do quite a lot of social housing. And part of the deal with the land and everything was that they gave us nomination rights for 145 flats. And we've had so much positivity from the people who moved in there. But that's helped part of our plan to release houses. So some people who were in council houses, 2 or 3 bedroom houses, single person, they've moved into a flat. That's released a house for families in Stevenage. So that's part of our plan, as well as trying to create opportunities for our young people to get their foot on the ladder. And that's some of the flats we're selling. If you speak to some of the developers, they're building flats because they can sell them off plan. So there's a demand. And with the growing businesses and the growing opportunities for our young people, we need to keep redeveloping.
So are you doing anything like making sure that local people have priority on acquiring new flats or new homes that are being developed? What other measures are you taking?
Yeah, I mean, part of the difficulty is there's been a housing crisis for a number of years. Although we've built over 500 council homes in Stevenage, we've got another 300 being built out and another 200 or 300 in plan. So we are building council houses for the people in Stevenage on our waiting list, but it isn't enough. And so obviously with the government's commitment to building 1.5 million houses, we're saying, well, look, we've delivered these during difficult times. We can deliver more if we get more support and grants. It's about 10 or 12 years ago, we invested in our planning team so that we were keen and good to meet. We invested in a housing development team and we invested in a regeneration team. And that was at the time when people were cutting back and releasing that. The other thing we did as well was invest in our culture and leisure opportunities.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen any of the underpasses that we've got in the town with those fantastic murals. And that's been one of the most positive things that people have said, oh, that's really good. And that's partly to meet our opportunities to try and get people to walk and cycle and see what we've got on offer in the town. So that meets the health and well-being aspect and the green energy. So, you know, myself and my cabinet work very closely together across the portfolios, as do the senior leadership team. So it's a team effort, officers and members, for the ambition to make the town even better. That's our Regen logo.
And another logo, our logo, is 1.5 million new homes. Have you found it helpful that the government has been kind of putting that target out?
I think it's helpful. Obviously, there was a shortage of labour and a shortage of materials and the cost of materials. But I think developers want to come into Stevenage. We get inquiries about, is there anything we could do to help build? Because they know that we'll help them through the planning process. We will have realistic timescales, but we won't roll over like some councils. And they know that we're honest and we'll deliver. And one of the things we're committed to doing is having quality builds. So I don't know if you look at that, what was most of it was a former car park. And now the offer. And I don't know if you've spoken to any of the residents of some of the new projects. The quality is just amazing.
And what would your message be to colleagues in other councils about those brave decisions to invest in those teams, invest in quality, and keep going through the hard times?
I think it's an ambition that we've always had in Stevenage ever since it became a new town in 1974. And the first leader, Brian Hall, wanted to have the ambition for Stevenage. It was a new town, but it hadn't finished yet and it was growing. And that was carried on by Sharon Taylor when she became leader. And it's instilled in the senior leadership team and cabinet and members are all keen to develop. So we very rarely get any opposition from the opposition parties because they know what we're doing is for the benefit of Stevenage people and its businesses and its visitors.
What about local people? What about opposition from local people? There must be NIMBYs in Stevenage.
We do get you're building flats for Londoners. There is some inward migration, but that's helping with the economy of the town. One of the projects that we're developing at the moment, and it should come to fruition before Christmas, is the indoor market, which was failing. We've now moved into some empty shops, so it's much more flexible for people. Whereas in the market, they can only open 3 days because you have to have security for the whole market, whereas these are individual properties within an area, so people can work 7 days or 3 days or whatever they want, and then the market will be used for the college. So there'll be, when it's finished, I think by the end of the summer next year, before the term in September, there'll be 400 students and staff within the town centre. That will help grow the economy of the town, which means that the extra money we can help to provide services for people in Stevenage. And some of those flats that are being built in the town will go to young people in Stevenage because it'll be affordable social housing or affordable housing within the town centre or on the periphery.
Richard, councillor, leader, thank you very much indeed for playing your part in delivering 1.5 million new homes.
I'd say it's teamwork.
So that's it. for another episode of 1.5 Million New Homes, the Local Government Challenge, sponsored by Redloft and Bugler Developments. But we are going to be back in just a few days with more from Stevenage. So until then, click like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you then. Cheers.